Oh, this is exciting. Did I start the show? I don't even know if I started it.
We're almost there.
I know.
We're almost there, Jeffrey.
We're almost there. All right.
Yay.
I think we're live. Oh, yeah, we already started.
You are looking live as Brent.
Whoa, we are here.
Brent Musburger.
You are looking live.
Crossing the streams. It's the most exciting thing. We're live on Fireside. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live all over the world. You can't stop us. You can't stop us. So this is exciting. Crossing the streams, if you're just joining us for one of the first times, we talk about TV shows and movies that you can stream, things that you should be binging, absolutely should be watching right now. You're always asking yourself, what should I be watching on TV? I need something to watch. And this is a show that answers that. This is episode 49 of Crossing the Streams. We have
49.
We have
we're almost the 8
hours streaming right now on YouTube. Many of them also on Fireside. So that is exciting. I'm excited. So we got a great show. We got a return guest, friend of the show, John Sullivan. We're gonna John tells us all about himself. We're gonna kick off with the theme song. Everybody, make sure your volume's down on your phone, please. All right, let's do this.
Not our guests, just us.
Am I starting?
Yes.
Okay, right, always. Here's the story of some lonely fellows who spend way too much time watching the TV. All of them have jobs and friends. Well, not really. Just between you and me.
All right. Ron.
They made a live. They made a live show out of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff, Ron, Sal, and Bob, and there's Howard. They call it Crossing Streams.
Ron.
And then one day they went live on all the platforms. You could hear the people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platform. But man, we crossed the streams. Here we go.
It's rough for a second.
We crossed the streams.
We crossed the streams.
Cross the streams.
That's the word.
We crossed the streams. Da, da, da.
For anyone listening, we do have full copyrightability on that.
You should start a boy band.
If there's any legal issues, just contact Bob Phillips, and who's not with us today. He couldn't be with us today. He's out doing comedy. Jerry's watching, but he's not wearing a hat.
Hatless.
Jerry, how you doing,
No
buddy?
hats.
Let's be honest. Looking closely, Ron probably should be wearing a hat.
but his goatee looks really good. So I think
It does.
We'll let it go.
It's
That's for all the crap you gave for Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange. You got a kind of a Doctor Strange beard and goatee coming in.
I'm not that evil, but okay. I appreciate that.
Speaking of Doctor Strange, before we get into the amazing movies and TV shows that we're talking about today, and if everybody see the Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man
Sadly,
trailer?
Indeed, I did.
What'd you think,
It's
Howard?
it's so exciting. It is. Look, it's we're lifelong comic book and superhero fans, as all of our regular listeners know, and the exciting part is trying to pick up all the little details, the stuff hidden in the background, and then is Marvel misdirecting? Are they not? Are they being is it the trailer everything? It's interesting. Ron, of course, doesn't get excited because there's very, very little foreign dubbing in Marvel movies.
And there's no Nazis as far as I can tell. And
they're wearing Captain America: The First Avenger. That's probably would be your point,
right?
Well, to me, the Spider-Man trailer, I like the idea of the movie. I'm not getting excited about their execution in their trailer, and I think it's one of these things where the fan service is sort of ruining it a little bit with the whole Toby and Garfield. Will they? Won't they be in it? There is a scene in the new trailer that shows the lizard, and if you watch carefully, he's clearly being punched, but there's nobody punching him. So they do that a lot. If you watch some of the original Avenger, I think it's the second one, where they're kind of running in the, like they're all just kind of running together. the Hulk's in that scene. Green Hulk is in that scene, but in the movie, he's not in that scene. Matter of fact, he can't even turn into the Hulk. So they'll do complete misdirections with characters and stuff like that. But there's a rumor that they took out the other Spider-Man in it. But it's one of those things, interestingly enough, too, that this trailer that came out yesterday is literally a sequel to the other trailer. Like, you had to have seen the other trailer to even understand this trailer, or at least some of the references in this trailer. They refer to an entire, it's almost like they're running mini movies. I just wish they would just stop doing everything and just let us watch the movie.
Yeah.
Like, let me just wait to December 17th and let me just watch.
Well, how many trailers are they going to do?
They'll probably do one towards closer to reveal the whole concept, just to live in a world where they can bring in 3 trilogies together is insane. But let's also be honest. Does anyone care about Electro? Jamie Foxx's Electro or the Lizard? Or what was the other? Sandman. These aren't exactly the most exciting villains that they had in these other Spider-Man movies. It's cool that they've transported them here, but it sounds like they're having the same kind of conundrum in the sense that, if we send them back, they'll die. Like at the end of the last Jurassic Park, we're like, well, if we don't kill the dinosaurs, if we kill the dinosaurs, we're killing these animals. We should let them out into the world where they don't exist, where they shouldn't exist. Yeah, it's just
but how many of the Marvel movies had a bad guy that you really cared about? At least these are, super villains. Like, I just watched Shang-Chi, and like, okay, it was just, a nameless, faceless bad guy, really, that didn't mean much in the grand scheme of things. At least these are comic book supervillains of some repute.
It's cool. They can elevate. Like, Hulk wasn't as cool until he became part of the other movies. He was better with the other movies. So it's possible that they could be kind of, but that we also know that Marvel movies, when they put too many characters in, except for the Avengers, where they pulled it off well with the Russo brothers, haven't successfully pulled off multiple character movies all the time. But we'll wait and see. That's why I just want to wait and see it. Fan expectations, everything's ruining it. I do want to take 1 second. Again, welcome everyone to Crossing the Streams. We're here to answer that lifelong question. What should I be watching? We have friend of the show, John Sullivan, with us.
Johnny.
John, welcome back.
Hey. Happy to be back.
It might be
I think you guys are like my friends now. Like, I wish we could all go somewhere and hang out as a group of guys and,
Well, one day we will. One day we will.
Yeah, we should.
Remind everyone where they can find you. Remind everyone where they can find you on the social.
Well, I'm currently in. My main account, Depressed Darth, is in Twitter jail right now for I don't know why. So I'm operating out of my side account, Deep Water Life, which is an aquatic themed account. It's actually very nice. Go check it out.
What are they telling you about your frozen account?
So it's very strange. Like, Twitter's weird. Like, I drove to a hockey tournament in Rochester, and I was still operating all my accounts, and everything was running normally. Like, I have multiple accounts and I put out a lot of content, but I'm also retweeting lots of content everywhere, just from relationships I have. Like, I retweet this show, it's just a natural part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I get to this hockey tournament on Thursday, and my worst nightmare happens. I wake up Friday morning and basically everything's suspended, and there's no reason why. So all you have to do, you file an appeal, but it's very much like an automated process. So I think Twitter has these algorithms in place, and somehow I've tripped up these algorithms to make it seem like something I'm doing is spammy, or I'm some sort of robot or something. Does
it happen all the time, or is this the only time it's happened?
So Depressed Darth got suspended a couple years ago because it was a copyright issue. So that was something completely different.
You're on a list, clearly.
Yeah.
Right.
Twitter picks people out like this, and they just make their life very.
They've deemed you the 13 in the misinformation dozen.
Well, we'll get back. We're gonna start a hashtag. Bring back.
Yes.
Save
Depressed Darth.
Free Darth.
Depressed Darth.
Free Darth. So, Anyway, so we'll get back to that later if we have time. But like for those tuning in now, this is episode 49. Episode 48 was incredible. We talked about South Side on HBO, and season 2 just started. The classic movie Flash Gordon. We talked about the rise and fall of Jack Johnson. That's part of the Bob Phillips boxing saga. Ron Lippett warned us not to watch Land with Robin Wright.
Stay away, my
And
friends.
Sal reviewed Untold Breaking Points. So that's episode 48. You can find that on Fireside. You can find that on YouTube. And you can watch that and all of the review goodness. This episode is chock full of goodness. I mean, Spider-Man alone was worth the amount you paid to be here. But we're also talking about the other two Comedy Central show now on HBO Max, Dopesick, Man in the Arena, Love Hard. That's
the wrong one, Jeff. That's the wrong one. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's the wrong one?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
That was
a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke.
And then Nocturnal Animals. You got me nervous. Sometimes I do. What's it, a porno?
I'm kidding. It's a joke. Obviously.
I'll tell you, a funny story, if I may, along the lines of getting the wrong title. When I worked in sponsorship sales at the Palace of Auburn Hills of the Detroit Pistons, one of the guys in our department noted that there was a huge billboard right on Lapeer Road outside the Palace of Auburn Hills that had it was an advertisement for, it was called Poop Scoop King. It was one of those businesses that would come and, clean the dog crap up in your yard. And he thought, well, if they're advertising outside the palace, maybe they'd want to advertise inside the palace. But he typed in, when he went to look at their website, he forgot the scoop. He just typed like Poop King or whatever, and immediately got tons of banner ads for gay porn websites. It's like, no, delete.
Oh, that is so funny. That is so funny. Well, let's talk about our first show for episode.
Man in the Arena,
which is about Tom Brady.
I want to hear about this.
Yeah. So look, I know that Tom Brady is either a love it or hate it. That's where he's reached now. And I feel like it's this series, even though he's still active, is designed very similarly to the Michael Jordan series that came out last year. It is going to be 10 episodes on ESPN Plus. 10 episodes called Man in the Arena, and then additional episodes called Inside the Arena, which is analysis of the episode, other people talking about the episodes which have just aired. And it's all about Tom Brady. Essentially, it's historical. The 10 episodes will basically focus on what led to the seasons leading to each of his Super Bowl visits. So this first episode starts with him being drafted, his growing up, his being drafted, and his first season in the NFL. Real quick, if I may, the reason it's called Man in the Arena is Tom Brady chose that for it, and it goes back to a quote by Teddy Roosevelt that hung on the wall in the weight room at the University of Michigan for years. And I wanted to read the quote because I never heard the quote before. I love it now. The quote is very simply, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." I think that's unbelievable. I'd never heard that before, and it's fantastic. So that's really. I'm gonna buy it. I think it's available on like Redbubble or something like that. So, So the first episode focuses on him, like I said, making the league, and it's really quite amazing. For those that don't know the story, it's not too dissimilar than the famous Wally Pipp story, which is the first baseman who was injured and led to Lou Gehrig playing and never relinquishing his position until he set the all-time record, which most people at the time thought was unbreakable, for consecutive games played. Drew Bledsoe, who had been the first-round pick of the New England Patriots, was the franchise quarterback. He had been there for a few years. The team made a Super Bowl with Drew Bledsoe at quarterback that they lost to the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, Packers.
Yep.
Charles.
Fan.
Yeah. And Drew Bledsoe signed a contract, a 10-year, $103 million contract. At the time, it was the biggest contract in the history of the NFL. He was the franchise quarterback. That following season, after signing the contract, the season was put on delay, obviously, because of the September 11th. So they didn't play. The first week after that, Drew Bledsoe took a ridiculous hit from New York Jets linebacker Mo Lewis that knocked him out of the game. And Tom Brady came in, played okay. They lost the game. After the game, on the field after the game, the trainer for the Patriots said to Drew Bledsoe, "You should probably come with me." And he's like, "No, I'm okay. I'm going to go to prayer, and then, you can check me out." He's like, "No, you need to come with me now." And they rushed him in a hospital. It turned out he lost 2 pints of blood internally. He had massive internal bleeding. He was okay, but he was definitely going to be out for a matter of time. And Tom Brady came out as the starter and started playing really well. And then eventually Drew Bledsoe got healthy enough to come back. And Bill Belichick, who was in his first couple of seasons as head coach, made it clear that even though Drew was healthy, Tom Brady was going to be the starting quarterback, which was uncomfortable for a lot of the veterans and certainly uncomfortable for Drew Bledsoe. But Drew kind of gritted his teeth and became a good backup team player. Tom Brady credits him for that in the movie, in the show, says it would have been a completely different experience had Drew Bledsoe been an a-hole. But so they go through the season, and then they're doing okay. They're 5-5. They go on a 6-game winning streak to finish 11-5 and win their division. The first playoff game is the famous Tuck Rule game in the ridiculous blizzard against the Oakland Raiders, and they win that game. The next week, they go play in Pittsburgh against the Steelers, who were great at the time. And Tom Brady gets hurt in the first half. Drew Bledsoe finishes the game and wins the game. So they go to the Super Bowl, and it was they talk about how nobody knew. It was the question all leading up to it: who's going to start at quarterback? And they literally didn't know until the week of, when Belichick called him to his hotel room, and they went up together into the hotel room, and he said Tom's going to be the starting quarterback. And they go out and they win the Super Bowl, and that was really it. And then we'll, I'm sure, see how that became. But it's the really candid interviews, which is great, with some players looking back. I thought having Drew Bledsoe interviewed and talking about all of it really put a lot of things in perspective. The future episodes, they're going to talk to a lot of other players about stuff that was going on. So I'm really excited. I really enjoyed it. It's really good. Again, look, I know people hate Tom Brady, but that's usually what happens when the guy is got a charmed life and is the best to ever do it. People either love you or hate you. I'm not a Patriots fan, but being a University of Michigan football fan, I'm a huge Tom Brady fan. And I think clearly he is in the top 2 or 3 most dominant athletes that I've ever seen in my lifetime. And so I'm excited to watch the entire series. And I didn't watch the first Inside the Arena yet, the analysis, but I'm going to go back and watch that this weekend. And new episodes come out every Tuesday night on ESPN Plus. So I recommend it. I thought it was really, really well done, and looking forward to the rest of the series.
So Howard, I'm looking forward to this series too. I haven't started it yet, but I've watched every freaking Tom Brady documentary you can think of, including by the way, the ESPN original. I don't know if it was 30 for 30, but it was the documentary about his drafting and
it was like the six or something, the Brady six.
Yes, the Brady six. Exactly. Well, one of the things that I just keep going back about, and this affects me personally too, and my own career, is I always am hung up on the fact that when they do the metrics, the measurement of draftees, Brady had nothing. He had no arm strength, no speed, no.
He ran a 5.4 40-yard dash.
So when you look at
5.4.
When you look at all of the measurable criteria,
I'm faster than that.
All of the tried and true predictors of what success looks like, Brady had none of them, and yet it comes down to the fact that he has an amazing ability to read defenses. He's like a computer out there. And then the other part of it that they don't talk about, but we Michigan fans know about, is he is tough as nails. Mm-hmm. I mean, that guy, he will never leave a game. He's played hurt. He's the toughest football player, toughest competitor I've ever seen.
Well,
he talks about it in the first episode. He says the difference maker in his eyes in his career, because he admits, he's like, I have very little natural athletic ability.
Yeah.
What he says his natural ability is his work ethic.
What's amazing about his career is, we're all obviously gushing over the guy, and I'm a big fan as well. But here's the crazy thing. And you look at his career, seriously, he went 10 years without winning anything. Isn't that amazing? When you think about his career, he went a 10-year span where he didn't win nothing. It was like 2004 to 2014.
You know what he won, Sal?
Crazy.
He won best male life for about 25 years. He had best male life.
No doubt about it, but it's just crazy.
Yes. And he was before that he was married to Bridget Moynihan.
True, very true. But just weird how he didn't win a Super Bowl for 10 years. And he has 7 of them or whatever, 6 of them, right? Crazy.
Anyway, playing hard, never giving up, playing hurt is an excellent transition to Dopesick, the show on Hulu about the opioid epidemic. Past guest James Healy Jr. stars in episode 3 as the judge, and we got John here who's going to talk all about it.
So I stumbled across this show. I think it was like 3 episodes already on Hulu, and I normally don't go to Hulu for their original programming. So I just started watching it, and I was immediately captivated because I don't know about you guys, but if you grew up in the early 2000s, you definitely knew people who were dealing with pill addiction. And it was certainly something was in my family, and just knew people you grew up with. And it just, all of a sudden it seemed to happen. So this was just hit home for me on a lot of levels, because the show is basically about the opioid crisis, most having to do with OxyContin. Mm-hmm. So there's this family, the Sackler family, who ran Purdue Pharma, and there's 8 episodes, and it tells the whole storyline going back to 1996, how they started marketing OxyContin as like a pain management system. And they hired major sales force to basically go to these, they start in these rural mining towns, and they market to these doctors who say, hey, in logging towns in Maine, West Virginia mining towns, they go to these areas, and it's disturbing what happens. So they basically force these doctors to start prescribing this stuff to their patients. They all get hooked on it. The doctors get hooked on it. So Michael Keaton stars, Peter Sarsgaard, Rosario Dawson's in it. And I honestly think this is going to put Hulu on the map in terms of them producing original. Them producing.
Your dog agrees.
them in terms of them producing original content, like I think this could be up for a lot of like, you know, best actor in its drama series, best drama series. And I'm not sure Hulu's done that yet. So it's 8 episodes. They're about, you know, with commercials, if you don't pay for the no commercials like me, they're like an hour long, but like gripping, and they're all based off his history, and it tells the whole story basically, kind of the Sackler family starting up. And if you've seen the news or anything most recently, like that family's basically the company Purdue Pharma has gone bankrupt. But it is a deep dive on it, and you really get to see, it's like the actors they use to play the sort of, you know, the people from these mining towns are these very regular actors. And then they have sort of the Sackler family actors, and the sets and everything show sort of like poor. And then they'll switch to the Sackler family's boardroom where they're discussing this. And it is, you know, it's very much a story of rich and poor, and there's so much going on in it. But I would strongly recommend it. I mean, it is just. Have any of you guys even seen it yet? I'd love to. I
saw episode 1. It's not a documentary, right? It's a drama
it's a
based
drama
on facts.
Yeah.
Yes,
historical drama.
It is heavy though. Like if it's not like a lighthearted watch. Like there is some. You know, there's death, there's addiction, and there's, you know,
and there's
it just shows the real dark side.
In episode 3.
Yeah, John, I was like you, man. I breezed through this thing. I binged the whole thing. It wasn't my intention, but I was absolutely captivated by it, and it is a devastating story. That it's hard not to feel personally affected watching this thing. Because it's all true. The lives that this drug has destroyed, the precise method that Purdue put into play that made sure that people became addicted to this drug, and increasing their sales, and just with no care at all for the impact it was going to have on the communities. I'll just say one other thing, that the power of Purdue and the amount of money that they put into making sure that this thing was successful. As an example, the top official at the FDA who approved a special labeling for OxyContin, telling doctors that it was not addictive. The very man who was responsible for approving that labeling quits the FDA right after that process and joined Purdue Pharma as one of their top executives.
And they pay like $350,000 a year.
Right. So it's like
it's insane.
It's like a joke. Yeah.
It's the hard part for me about the show is, and you can take this the complete opposite way as I say it. I understand that, but in a time where it's so important for people to trust in a vaccine to get through a pandemic, to put out a very highly publicized true show about how you shouldn't trust pharmacies and how their intentions are not in our favor. It's hard, because I do believe the vaccines are different and should be trusted, but some people are using that show as sort of like, see, you shouldn't trust. You can't.
I did not see that angle at all. I did not see that.
I did.
Yeah,
No, it's two different things. I mean,
there's that angle, but there's the secondary to that angle that I always use as an argument, which is when a lot of people who say you can't trust the vaccines, big pharma, blah, 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 they say, why wouldn't they make ivermectin or something like that available? I'm like, do you know who makes those things? It's big pharma. Like if ivermectin really worked, it's made by big pharma, it would be available like 5-Hour Energy on the counter of every drugstore. Like,
it works for other things. It's already working.
I really would like you guys to see this and watch these episodes.
Dale takes it, and his mains never looked better.
No,
no,
I'm saying it is a drug.
They go through in great detail to talk about the FDA missed every opportunity to get this thing right. They missed it over and over again. They had the DEA, the Department of Justice, U.S. attorneys from multiple states pleading with the FDA to correct the labeling, correct the the warnings, correct how they're working with the pharmacies and doctors. and they just missed it over and over and over again. So listen, the FDA is not infallible. They're people too. They make mistakes. So I do see the point of people using that as some type of criticism for vaccines. I don't think it relates necessarily directly, but I do see the point.
Right. No, totally get it. Totally get it.
Yeah.
Don't we all, Jerry? Don't we all?
Don't we all? So, all right, that was good. So,
Very well done,
this is a killer show so far, man. Or, sorry, that's probably poor choice of words. But that was good, man. And okay, so I think we got Man in the Arena, we got Dopesick, but I have a feeling that the Love Fest is about to
Come on, you guys.
talk about
This is Oscar
Love
stuff
hard.
here. This is Oscar stuff here.
Screeching halt.
All right, so
By the way,
hard
To the millions of fans out there of this show. The reason I pick movies like this, and for my guest stars here as well, is ever since the movie Can't Buy Me Love. Do you guys remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Ever since that movie, I always try to watch a romantic comedy along the way every year. Sometimes I give 2 or 3 a shot. And I'm still trying to find the Can't Buy Me Love.
Sal's house. There's VHS of Sleepless in Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe Can't Buy Me Love was the last romantic comedy.
So anyway, this is a updated version of those kinds of movies. It's a Netflix movie that actually just came out, like literally November 5th. It stars Nina Dobrev and Jimmy O Yang, and basically it is a love story, but it's like a catfishing story. So it stars it's about this LA journalist, and you've seen this movie a few times out there, the script, I guess. But she's an LA journalist who has a kind of a boss that's like, you got to go out there and write about bad relationships. So she has to go out and have bad relationships. So she's serial dating in LA, and she starts to have this obviously this relationship with a gentleman online, and they talk forever, like on the phone and stuff. There's actually a funny scene in the movie that he's like talking to her in bed, like they're talking for like hours, till like 3 a.m. Well, she falls asleep while they're talking. When she wakes up in the morning, they show it. It's like 7 hours later. The sun's out brighten through the windows. She's like waking up. He's like, hi. How he was listening, or told she woke up the whole night. I'm like, yeah, really? That's really going to happen? I don't think so. But anyway, he waited 6 hours for her to wake up on the phone. Unbelievable.
That's creepy.
Exactly. I agree, John.
It's hard. It should be that hard.
But anyway, so they have this great relationship online. Well, she decides to, because they chatted a lot about, things they're doing for the holidays. So she decides to surprise him in his hometown and go to his house, right before Christmas. And she walks in, and she got catfish. He was not this guy he used pictures of this other guy. That's right. Sorry. He used pictures of this other guy to kind of lure her in. And anyway, when she sees him, he's not that guy. He's actually Jimmy O Yang, who's an Asian 5'4" guy. And she thought she was seeing this, this really good looking guy who's played by Darren Barnett. His name is Tag. Anyway, it's not him, but he knows the guy that he used as a picture. And she's like, well, if you help me meet him, then, I'll help you right now and tell your parents that we're kind of girlfriend, boyfriend kind of thing. So she has this kind of thing going on with him. And then she's trying to meet Tag and get with him. And anyway, that's how the movie goes. It's like one of those, romantic movies. I don't want to bore you guys all on here with my details, but she's going back and forth trying to get Tag, but she's having this relationship with Josh. Anyway, it all blows up at the end because everybody kind of sees each other at a party. I'm not going to tell you the end because I want you to see it. But dude, does she get with Josh? Does she get with Tag? You got to watch it to find out. But it's really good. It's a really good ending.
We were hanging on pins and noodles.
I think you didn't like this movie. I thought you were like you didn't like it.
So, Jeff, I did say that to you. But you know what? All in all, it had some like really good jokes in it. It was really written pretty good. The acting was pretty good on it. If you like these kind of like cheesy romantic Christmas, Hallmark kind of movies, and when I say Hallmark, I shouldn't say Hallmark because it was a little bit of a notch above a Hallmark movie. I really will. It's not Can't Buy Me Love though. It is not.
Wow, come on.
Not even close.
What is?
But
Featuring
but
the
really
famous
good.
Courtney Gaines, right?
I'm gonna give it like 3.5 tomato sauce jars. Is that possible?
Okay.
I don't think we have had.
All right, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it was this
There's
great
only so many
romantic
graphics
comedy.
I can make. I can't make.
But you can't go wrong. Seriously, Netflix lovers out there or people you got, it's not a bad flick to watch during the holidays, man.
One of my all-time favorite stand-up jokes is Patton Oswalt talking about auditioning for a romantic comedy and how he couldn't, for the life of him, remember the name of it, and just saying they should just call every romantic comedy Trying to F. Because that's this week Jennifer Aniston and that guy are trying to have. Next week Jennifer Aniston and that guy. Will they have? Maybe. Yeah, that's really what every movie is. But Can't Buy Me Love is in a whole different story.
That's
such a great movie. Such
it's
a great
classic
movie.
film.
God, what a great movie.
Maybe that's what we should do for our 50th. Is all romantic.
We might.
I'm in.
I mean, Ronnie made us cry. He made us laugh.
Ronald Miller, the Donald Miller star.
Communism for our 50th episode, which is next week.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? 50 episodes.
50.
Wow.
50.
If it wasn't for the insurrection, it'd be our 51st.
That's right.
It's true.
Oh my
It's true.
God. That's crazy.
All right. Wait, I got my show now. Ready for this? This is called The Other Two. And this is a show that was started on Comedy Central. It was created by Chris Kelly and Sarah Schneider. They are the co-head writers from Saturday Night Live. They sold this show in late 2016 or so. And what the show is, I've only seen season 1, and season 2 came out on August 26th, which is my birthday. You guessed it right. And so that's season 2. So I'm going to guess what season 2 is about, but I'm going to talk about season 1. I highly recommend this show. This is really funny. It's a satire. When you watch the show, you have to realize it's a satire. It's a comedy. It's an easy watch too. 10 episodes. They're 20-minute. It's sitcom now, so they're short episodes. The only annoying thing about watching the show on HBO Max is because it was originally made for Comedy Central. And there's no commercials on HBO Max. There's those weird blackouts where they would have gone to commercial. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's a little weird, but it's
Why
not.
Why do they do that? That is weird. You're right.
Yeah.
It's just the way the shows were edited. And
Right.
Southside, the first season does that because that was the same thing made for Comedy Central.
So it's an interesting show. So the premise of the show is called The Other Two. And the reason it's called The Other Two is the show is about this 13-year-old named Chase. And his stage name is Chase Dreams, but it's Chase Dubeck in the show. So Chase Dreams. He becomes an overnight sensation. So think Justin Bieber when he became Justin Bieber. Okay. So there's 3 siblings. So the other 2 refer to the other 2 siblings, his brother and his sister. So the show really isn't about Chase, the guy who actually goes, but it's the thing that drives the plot. It's really about his older brother and his older sister and his mom. The cast in the show is ridiculous. The mom is Molly Shannon. She has more of a reoccurring role in season 1, but I think she's like the star of season 2. But she's in most of the episodes. I think she's in 6 of the episodes in season 1 out of 10. And then their manager is Ken Marino. Do you know who Ken Marino is?
Love Ken Marino.
I talk about Ken Marino all the time. He's one of the main characters on Party Down.
Party Down's coming back.
Revival.
Ken Marino is also hilarious in everything he's in. It's such an odd humor that he has, but he's so funny. I first saw him in Wet Hot American Summer, and then when Netflix brought that back as a show, I watched the movie and then the 2 series that they made after that. He is so funny. So he plays this character called Streeter, and he's Chase Dreams. He's the 13-year-old's manager, right? So he's like, all he wants is Chase to love him, and he lacks obviously that self-awareness that most of his characters lack, and it's just he's so funny. And then there's Wanda Sykes. Wanda Sykes sort of leads Chase Dreams, the 13-year-old, sort of PR, right? So one of the shows, Chase Dreams, does a song about his the interesting thing about Case Walker, real quick, who plays Chase Dubak, who plays Chase Dreams, the 13-year-old, he actually did become famous and get this role because he became a TikTok sensation and got like 1.9 million followers on TikTok. That's how he did get discovered. So it's sort of a little bit of a parallel, but wait, what was I saying? I totally lost my train of thought. So he does a song. His brother on the show, Drew Tarver, who's Casey Dubak, he's like a struggling actor, and his brother is gay. Carrie Dubak is gay, and it's like a whole thread throughout the thing. And Chase does a song about his gay brother and how it's okay to be gay. It's a very song, and it comes out, and Carrie Dubak, the brother, had just auditioned for a role where all he does in this commercial is he's at a party and he smells a fart from a cat. Like that's the role. And then the video comes out, and they're worried now that the audience might see him as too gay, and they need the character who's smelling the fart to be more straight. In a later episode, you hear him talking like what would be considered a straight voice. You go like, which is not his voice, but he's like, you know what I mean? Like he tries to sound masculine for no reason, instead of just talking like himself. And so Chase does this whole video where about his brother, and it's a montage. So all of a sudden now the brother's becoming famous, but it's all about his brother being gay and how he loves his brother, and it's okay and everything's great. So then you cut to like the war room where Wanda Sykes, who's hilarious in this show, is they're running and watching the social media. Oh, the gays love us. And like, oh, now the gays don't love us. And, it's just like, they're going through this whole thing, like every 5 minutes, Chase is ruined. It's like, we have to pull the video down. No, somebody just tweeted this and now it's over. And then it's like, oh, this person said this, but it's not true. It doesn't matter. He said it. It's like that's exactly what it was like. So funny. So funny. The show is, some of the humor is uncomfortable humor, I will admit, just because they go there. But that's what's so funny about it as well. And so I don't want to kind of ruin anything, but there's nothing really to ruin because nothing really happens per se. Like it's just situation after situation after situation, and it's just the story of him and in this little trajectory. Now he does. Interestingly enough, from what I can tell, and I haven't seen season 2 because I literally finished season 1 yesterday. From what I can tell, they end Chase's arc as a superstar, and then the mom gets a talk show. So if you see the poster for season 2, the tagline is "Fame as a Mother." So this is where I think she gets her own talk show, right? And I think then it becomes the other 2 is just them, where she's the main star or she's the celebrity in season 2. It's an interesting kind of just shift there, but I'm really looking forward to it. And they have people from Saturday Night Live just guesting in it because it's like a Lauren Michaels production. So they just have people coming in and out. Bex Bennett is in it. Just Michael Che is in it. Like there's just people, real small parts, but they just kind of come in and out. It's really funny. I think this group here and everyone listening and all that loved it. You just love it. I had heard people talking about it, and it was like one of those shows. It's 2 seasons in, and like even you guys, like no one's heard of it. And I think because it was on just Comedy Central, and then HBO found it. But it's definitely, I've heard people talk about it, but I definitely recommend it. Highly recommend this.
And how long are the episodes, Jeff?
They're short. They're just like 20, 22-minute episodes, something like that.
Yeah.
So you could burn through this whole thing in like
Nice.
a couple hours.
HBO Max.
HBO Max.
HBO Max. All right.
I'm sure it's on Comedy Central demand, but yeah, you can burn. It's all on HBO Max.
Let's check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, John mentioned there what I was going to mention at the end, which is the show that I've talked about several times. Party Down was renewed for 6 episode, I think, revival on Stars, and most of the original cast, with the exception of Lizzie Kaplan, will be back. Megan Mullally, definitely Adam Scott. I didn't see. I don't remember if I saw Ken Marino, but I would assume he'll be back. Martin Starr. Yeah, I'm very, very excited about that. So yeah, I'll definitely check this out. I mentioned it before when we talked about Party Down. Ken Marino's line from We're the Millers, "See, Boner Garage gets it," is one of my favorite lines of any movie ever. It's just, he's such a good actor.
That's so funny. All right. We got one more show. This is an exciting one. Nocturnal
Wow.
Animals.
What is this?
at that,
Nocturnal
folks.
Animals.
Look at
It's
that.
the
I've seen this. This is
Animals
really
of the Night. Yeah, it's so. This is from 2016. My brother Richard, who may be listening in right now, actually clued me in on this one. I hadn't seen it before. Jake Gyllenhaal and Amy Adams are probably two of my very favorite actors in Hollywood right now. And I first off, I'll just tell you, Jake Gyllenhaal, I love everything that guy does.
The guy saved jazz, Ron.
Well, listen, I mean, it's important that he stepped up, and
He was the initially rumored, supposedly, to play the Patrick Swayze role in the upcoming remake of Roadhouse.
We talked about that,
No.
Howard. I know. It's such a you have to really
Hasn't
kinda-
been confirmed, but he was he's the lead rumor.
But I do. Here's what I respect about Jake Gyllenhaal is he takes chances with some of the movies. He does a lot of indie films. He does things that you wouldn't expect a star of his magnitude to do. Brokeback Mountain obviously was a huge chance, which paid off big for him. He won an Academy Award for it. He was involved in one of my very favorite dark movies, Nightcrawler, which I don't know if any of you guys saw that. On a side note, I saw Nightcrawler alone in a movie theater in Los Angeles when I was traveling one day, and I came out and I was very upset because it's such a dark movie. Anyway, so he
Donnie
and then
Darko.
what's
Did you
that?
see Donnie Darko?
I did see Donnie Darko, exactly. So
Random
he
weird
does interesting. He takes interesting roles, and then you look at Amy Adams, and I could say the exact same thing about her. She takes a lot of chances with her roles. She's not afraid of putting it out there and doing taking on roles that I think probably people that whisper in her ear, maybe she shouldn't take those chances, or maybe she's moved on beyond that, but she doesn't listen. And the fact that she would do Nocturnal Animals with Jake Gyllenhaal is an amazing thing. What else is amazing is that this movie, whether you guys knew this or not, this was produced by Smokehouse Pictures. Do you guys know who runs Smokehouse Pictures?
I do not.
Smokehouse Pictures is run by George Clooney and Grant Hetzloff, right? And George Clooney and Grant Hetzloff, who won an Academy Award producing Argo, and George Clooney is actually kind of building a pretty good resume right now for producing and directing some pretty major films at this point. So listen, and the other really interesting thing about the production of this movie, Tom Ford, the designer, is who directed Nocturnal Animals. Wow. And if you watch the movie through that lens, if you know it was Tom Ford, it is a beautiful movie. Like the shooting of it, the angles and the way this thing is shot and directed, you can clearly tell that this is somebody from a very creative approach to seeing a movie. The 10,000 foot description of the movie it's a movie within a movie within a movie. So it's multiple stories you have to follow. Now I can see how that in some cases would be very frustrating because you kind of have to exercise your brain to kind of understand exactly what's going on in this movie. They tell a story within the story. So high level, Jake Gyllenhaal is a struggling writer. Amy Adams is a debutante. They end up together. Much to Amy Adams' irritation, her entire family is against this union. She apparently married way below her standard with Jake Gyllenhaal, being a nobody struggling writer. And in the end, she succumbs to the pressure and divorces Jake Gyllenhaal, but not before she aborts his baby. So that's the last you hear of Jake Gyllenhaal until years and years and years later, she gets a manuscript from Jake Gyllenhaal saying this was, you were my inspiration. And the reading of the manuscript becomes the second story of the movie through Amy Adams' eyes. and she reads the manuscript, and what you find out through the movie is this is Jake Gyllenhaal speaking to Amy Adams about how badly she hurt him and damaged him earlier in their marriage, and the way he does this is brilliant and creepy, and there's a scene in this movie that I have to tell you will haunt you for weeks after seeing this movie.
Wow.
In fact, if you Google it, it'll be the first thing that comes up, because there's one scene in this movie that is absolutely devastating. So, but it's a dark movie, but once again, Jeff, coming out of this movie, a ton to unpack. Like, it's one of these things that you really have to think through what you just saw and make sure you understood exactly what just happened for the reasons that it may have happened, and that you pull out of that what was intended, because everything is not as it appears as you view this the first time. So it's one of those things that you might want to even watch a second or third time, or maybe do the kind of the Google, YouTube reviews of this movie, because there are a million little things from this movie that are that should be picked up. So I love this movie, and I love how thoughtful it is. It's an intricate movie. It didn't do particularly well in the box office, but that's okay. I don't think it was ever meant to do well. I think it was a statement. And I think it was one of those art house type movies that people were proud to put out this thing, and I think the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and other places confirm that it's an excellent movie.
Okay. Check it out.
Yeah, and Ron, I would say it kind of sucks you in, right? Like, you start watching it and you're sort of a little kind of okay, and you're kind of watching it, and then as it goes on, you get really sucked in and involved, right? Where it's almost like, you start almost living with the characters in the situation they get themselves into, the manuscript he sends them, right? Like, it's kind of nightmarish, and you're kind of almost there with them, right?
Yeah.
Where's that movie at? Where's that movie streaming on?
Yeah, it's on Netflix, and it's about I think it's 2 hours, and a pretty easy watch. It goes by pretty quickly. Jake Gyllenhaal, is there anybody in Hollywood that can convey absolute panic or terror or just be flat out crazy better than Jake Gyllenhaal?
The way he pulled the wool over Peter Parker's eyes in the last.
Right. So that's what I was thinking of, Jeff.
He was great in La La Land. And
he was.
I think that's all I can think of that he was.
Yeah. If you haven't checked out Nightcrawler,
Mountain.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out Nightcrawler with him and Riz Ahmed, I highly recommend that movie for all the same reasons I just mentioned for Nocturnal Animals. It's a dark movie that does an excellent job with Renee.
Jerry
Russo.
said Nightcrawler was awesome as well.
Yeah, Nightcrawler is great. So, check him out.
Cool. Wow.
Howard, are you wearing a blanket?
Yes, I am. Grandpa has got his Holly Hobby blanket in his lap to keep warm.
This
my
is the end of our 49th episode. So that means next week it's 50 episodes.
Something's going to happen.
We're going to do something special, some kind of theme. We got a bunch of things on the table. If you want to tweet at us or copy or comment to us on our YouTube video here with a suggestion of what you'd like us to do, perhaps we will take suggestions for episode 50 of Crossing the Streams. Anyway, it's a good time. So, John, thanks again for joining us, man.
Johnny.
Nice job.
Yeah, that was fun, guys.
Yeah,
I liked all the picks too. I'm excited to go check them out.
Yeah, this is what's great about the show. Is going to see stuff after. So
yeah.
Remind everyone about where they can see the cool sea videos on.
Deep Water Life. It's a sort of newer page. It's just very simple. Just pictures and videos of whales and dolphins and octopi and all that.
He just
stuff.
got a GoPro in his aquarium.
If you're thinking to yourself, what would I want?
Which I would watch. Don't get me wrong.
If you want to look at a whale, I once went down a rabbit hole on Instagram Reels I must have gone into an ocean feed.
Yeah.
It's fascinating stuff.
So people are making livings now where they're literally just going out. There's like Instagram influencers who go to various places and just film themselves or go deep water diving with like sharks and stuff. And I'm like, That seems very dangerous almost. Like
Yeah, no
you're
kidding.
asking for
Yeah.
it at some
Oh,
point,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Jerry has a suggestion
The-
for our 50th. I should talk sports.
There you go.
Howard and I
Yeah.
should try and teach you sports.
Yeah, Jeff's
Good call,
Jeff's gonna
Jerry.
It's just a matter of
Jeff's
time.
gonna do a seminar on zone blitzes next week.
Zone.
He's gonna explain the 3-4 defense.
But John, yeah, it's just a matter of time before you read about someone who got eaten by a shark or something like
Right,
that.
an Instagram influencer with 1 million followers was brutally
Yeah, I
eaten
mean,
by
they
a
can't,
shark.
most of them fall off cliffs and stuff like that. Trying to
It'd get a ton of views, though. That video would get a ton of views, right?
There's a
John
lot
C.
they're like on a surfboard, and literally it's from a top drone shot, and there's like a whale or like a orca or something right there. It's like even if they're playing, you can still get killed. These
Yeah,
things are
I know.
500 million tons. Anyway, Howard, we got you got any big Thanksgiving plans, and tell us where we can find you. next week.
For the second year in a row. I remember talking about this in our first episode last year. We are not cooking Thanksgiving. We are ordering from the lovely, fine folks at Cracker Barrel and bringing it
Nice,
in. That was
nice.
I remember talking about it on the first episode last year.
Bob
And,
Phillips loves Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel
We,
Christmas.
Yeah.
It was amazing for Thanksgiving last year, and that's what we're doing this year. So
All right.
we added extra sides though.
Yeah, well, yeah. You learn as you go.
Yeah, it was a
Right.
good year. So
Yeah,
Pants.
Lippy Pants. I'm up in northern Michigan preparing for Thanksgiving up here as well. So I'm excited for it. I'm not sure exactly what we're making, but this is where I'll be. But enjoyed, guys. I'm excited for next week. Big 50.
Big 50. Big fish. And Sal, what's going on? man?
Well, after Thanksgiving, I'll be at Funny Stop Comedy Club at Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio.
Nice.
Go to funnystopcomedyclub.com. So saldemilio.com. I'm gonna have a nice going to Boston Market again, like I did last year.
Making those
Thanks,
Buckeyes
No,
laugh.
I'm kidding. I'm gonna be with my family, and we're gonna have a great time in South Line, Michigan.
Awesome.
home of Callahan Auto. Was
Right.
it? Cuyahoga
You
Falls?
can't get a.
I'll be hanging with my family and recording and begging everyone to listen to Live from Detroit, the Jeff Dwoskin Show.
There it is. There
I
it
got a
is.
big
Good
guest
night.
on Monday. Big guest on Monday. Gopher from the Love Boat. Fred
He's got
Grant.
a really big
What?
guest.
Fred Brandy.
Fred
Wow,
Oh my
this
gosh.
guy,
It's
he's
an awesome.
pulling in. This guy.
It's an awesome conversation. I'm
That's
excited
awesome,
for
man. That's
all of
good.
you to hear
Dude,
it.
you're hitting everybody off that boat. Is Charo next?
I gotta try and get
Coochie
started.
coochie.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week. And that has been another episode of Crossing the Streams. Join us every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow the Jeff Dwoskin Show on YouTube to be alerted every time we go live with your hosts, Jeff Dwoskin, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Bob Phillips, Sal D'Amelio. We're all in the socials. Follow us. Listen to our podcasts, Live from Detroit, the Jeff Dwoskin Show, the Sal and Bob Show. Check them all out, and we'll see you next week and every week when we cross more streams right here. See you then.